Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, it's a grand reunion for APC leaders and members as party holds national summit in Abuja, culminating into 3 levels of endorsements. The Progressive Governors Forum, the National Assembly leadership, and the National Working Committee all endorsing President Bola Tinubu as sole presidential candidate for 2027. Nothing good comes easy, says President Bola Tinubu, as he affirms that the renewed hope agenda is yielding results. Ask Nigerians to keep faith. Federal government institutes suit against the embattled senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Putudwa, over alleged defamation following her remarks on live television. And more help comes for Gaza residents, with UN supplying 90 lorry loads of humanitarian aid.
On business news tonight, Regional Maritime Development Bank finally takes off after 16 years delay as President Tinubu appoints Adeniro Aderogba as its first Chief Executive Officer.
On sports, the Confederation of African Football unveils new look trophy for Africa's biggest football club competition, the CAF Champions League.
And from the nation's capital, President Bola Tinubu inaugurates newly appointed board and executive team of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL.
We begin from the nation's capital. The All Progressives Congress, APC, today held its national summit in Abuja, parading a galaxy of leaders and members of the party. Now, the gathering offered members, party members that is, an opportunity to assess the progress made by the present administration as ministers presented their scorecard. The progressive governors took to the podium to endorse President Bola Tinubu for a second term, saying he has done well in the area of provision of infrastructure, healthcare, and capacity building.
Satisfied with the midterm review and performance evaluation report of the reviewed Hope Agenda, that we are aware that the Nigerian nation is moving in the right direction economically, socially, and politically, and that we are convinced that under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, Nigeria will get to her destination faster in prosperity. We acknowledge the resolution of these governors that the president should be used and be adopted as our flag bearer for 2027 presidential election for a second term in office.
I rise to second the motion as ably moved by the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, the governor of Imo State, His Excellency Hope Ozeduma, that this August gathering pass a vote of confidence on our able and amiable president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a sole candidate of APC come 2027 general election. I so second.
A moment after the progressive governors passed a vote of confidence on President Bola Tinubu, the National Assembly, led by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, concurred with the governors, explaining that the president has performed and should be allowed by the party to take a second shot at the presidency. His motion was seconded by Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Nigerians are saying that because you have done a difficult job well, that it is time for us to reward you by sending you back to the presidency for a second term in office. I move, therefore, as the Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that Mr. President return, one, as a candidate of the APC unopposed, and secondly, as the next president for a second term come 2027. I so move.
On behalf of the whole entire 109 senators, 360 members, and all the 36 speakers and their members to second this very important motion moved by the Senate President Asosakor.
Indeed, it was a day of endorsements as the National Working Committee of the party, headed by the National Chairman Abdoulaye Ganduje, also joined the train by declaring what he called the mother of all endorsements for President Bola Tinubu. In this instance, he says the president should not just be a candidate of the party, but the sole candidate for the 2027 presidential election.
On behalf of the National Working Committee, the only recognized platform, I believe, legally, the only recognized platform to field a candidate in any to field a candidate in any election. I hereby affirm the various endorsements and declare President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the sole presidential candidate of APC.
And after the showers of endorsements, the president told the gathering that he is honored by their decision and will continue to serve the nation selflessly to gain more confidence of the party and the people of Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu explains that his policies are already tackling corruption, the naira is being strengthened, and the inflation rate is consistently dropping. For him, nothing good comes easy.
I just need to tell those ones saying one-party system is no good. It's one party ruling and driving the aspiration of Nigerians. Where do they start? You don't blame a people bailing out of a sinking ship when they have no life jacket. I'm glad of what we have, and I'm expecting more to come. That is the game. We are in a constitutional democracy. Don't forget the freedom of movement and the freedom of association is not criminally punishable. Welcome to the progressives. Sweep them clean.
From the APC National Summit, where there could be a silver lining for Rivers State, even as the state of emergency continues there. The president earlier today submitted the 2025 appropriation bill for Rivers to the National Assembly for consideration, following the ongoing suspension of the state's House of Assembly. In separate letters addressed to the leadership of the National Assembly, President Bola Tinubu proposed a total of 1.481 trillion naira, with major allocations aimed at revitalizing key sectors. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, reports.
A significant number of lawmakers are in attendance as plenary resumes, chaired by the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio. A letter from the President, Bola Tinubu, to the Senate emerges as the Senate President reads out his request for expedited consideration.
The distinguished Senate may wish to recall that Rivers State is currently under emergency rule in the absence of the State Assembly it's expected that the National Assembly acts on their behalf. The appropriation bill for the year 2025 is in the total sum of 1,481 billion.
The budget, according to the proposal, focuses on strategic investment in infrastructure, healthcare, education, and agriculture, with the aim of generating approximately 6,000 new jobs. The Senate has referred the executive bill to its ad hoc committee on emergency rule.
The Senate ad hoc committee to revert to us as soon as practicable.
Similarly, in the House of Representatives, the letter of President Tinubu is read by the Speaker.
324 billion is for infrastructure, both ongoing and new projects. The sum of 166 billion is for health sector.
Infrastructure tops the list with a proposed 324 billion naira, while the health sector is allocated 106 billion naira, including 5 billion naira earmarked for free malaria drugs. The education sector is set to receive 75.6 billion naira, while 31.4 billion naira is proposed for agricultural development.
May God bless you.
Back in the upper chamber, a motion under urgent public importance is raised on the need to address the imbalances in the allocation of 380 billion naira Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund.
And every part of the country deserves infrastructural development. It is not wise in allocating resources to sometimes over-allocate to one zone at the expense of other zones.
The motion is, however, stepped down.
Every geopolitical zone that you turn to, there will be one issue or the other that they would have wished were handled differently. And by way of also a motion is to say that we step down further consideration of this motion to allow time for the leadership of this Senate to interface with the Honorable Minister of Water Resources.
The Senate also observed a minute's silence in honor of former lawmaker and military administrator, Senator Joseph Akagege, who died on May 19, 2025. The lawmakers poured in tributes for the former legal luminary before dissolving into a closed-door session for a brief meeting and subsequently an early adjournment for the APC National Summit. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has rejected an advice from the Senate to set up a housing system and possible skill training for almajiris and beggars in the nation's capital. Mr. Wike made his stance known after Senator Ali Ndume raised concern over his policy to arrest beggars and return them to their states of origin. During the budget defense session of the 2025 appropriation bill with the Senate Committee on FCT, the minister also alleged that some political actors are sabotaging the efforts of his administration. Our correspondent, Kumbi Aboluade, reports.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, alongside the Minister of State, Mariam Mahmood, and top officials of the FCT administration, arrived at the House of Representatives wing of the National Assembly for the budget defense session of the 2025 FCT appropriation bill. The session moves into a closed-door meeting. The discussions at the meeting were not made public as the delegation reconvenes before the Senate Committee on FCT. This time, the meeting is open to the media. The minister begins his presentation by giving details of the 1.7 trillion naira 2025 appropriation bill.
The 2025 budget is aligned with the federal government budget parameters, comprising distributable revenue of 1.3 and non-distributable revenue of 391 billion.
The lawmakers commend the minister for the trajectory of his development in the territory so far and raise some concerns.
Looking at this budget on page 6, I saw, in my estimation, a factory of 78 billion. How would you utilize that 78 billion?
The indigent
or the displaced persons roaming in Abuja. It is not enough as Nigerians driving them, arresting them. What you need to do is to do what the Kano state government did as far back as in the 70s. That is picking the indigents, if you know, and you have a camp where you can feed and train them so that they will be off the street.
In response, the minister rejects the advice to set up a housing scheme for displaced persons.
This federal capital territory, the way Kano, the way Rivers, the way Sokoto, the way Ondo will not be the same way that will happen in the FC. Those you are talking about, they are not indigenous. As a city like this, with the federal capital territory, where you have all the international bodies where they reside, it will be difficult for you to follow that kind of pattern. Now, you talk about security. Also, understand that this is where the president resides. The chief of army staff, the chief of defense staff is here. We don't have that autonomy as for autonomy to take the entire security architecture of FCT.
The committee is expected to make their recommendations and submit the report for the Senate to consider and pass the legislation. Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
In part two after the break, federal government institutes suit against the embattled senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, over alleged defamation following her remarks on live television. Just stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. It's a grand reunion for APC leaders and members as party holds national summit in Abuja, culminating into 3 levels of endorsements: the Progressives Governors Forum, the National Assembly leadership, and the National Working Committee, all endorsing President Bola Tinubu as sole presidential candidate for 2027. Nothing good comes easy, says President Bola Tinubu as he affirms that the renewed hope agenda is yielding results, asks Nigerians to keep faith. Federal government institutes suit against the embattled senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, over alleged defamation following her remarks on live television. And more help comes for Gaza residents, with UN supplying 90 lorry loads of humanitarian aid. To the courts, where the second prosecution witness in the trial of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, has told Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court, Abuja, that the Director General of the Department of State Services once advocated for community policing efforts under the guidance of security agencies as a measure against insecurity. The prosecution witness, an official, stated this during his cross-examination by the prosecution counsel, Mr. Adegboyega Awumalo, on the activities of Amotekun in comparison to the Eastern Security Network, ESN. Our correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, reports.
The trial of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, resumes before Justice James Omotosho at the Federal High Court, Abuja. Before the arrival of the judge, last-minute housekeeping is done by the defense team with the suspect. The day's proceeding commences with the defense counsel, Mr. Paul Erokoro, tendering 3 video recordings which were played during the proceeding. One of the videos showed the Director General of the Department of State Service speaking at an event where he suggested that communities should endeavor to create a first line of defense against bandits and other invaders. In reference to the video, the defense counsel inquired if the DSS boss is asking communities to defend themselves. However, the witness replied that the DG of the department is advocating that any community policing should be done under the guidance of security agencies. The defense counsel also tendered the report of the Lagos State Commission of Inquiry on the NSAS protest. The witness agreed with Mr. Rokoro that the report did not indict IPOB and did not classify the protest as an act of terrorism. The prosecution counsel, Mr. Adegboyega Awomolo, also re-examined the witness on the videos by attempting to draw a comparison between the activities of Amotekun in comparison to the Eastern Security Network. The witness explains that the former is backed by law, while the other does not have legal backing. Before adjourning for the session, the trial judge, Justice James Omotosho, gave the prosecution 6 days within which to call all its witnesses. He also indicated that the defense would be allocated 9 days. The judge subsequently adjourned the case to May 28th for continuation of trial. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
First Holdco PLC has approved the payment of a dividend of 60 kobo per 50 kobo share to shareholders, subject to withholding tax for the financial year ending December the 31st, 2024. This decision was part of the resolution on dividends reached at the company's 13th annual general meeting, as announced by its chairman, Mr. Femi Otedola. He also mentioned that First Bank is on track to meet its recapitalization target of 500 billion naira, well ahead of the March 2026 timeline.
This is a significant event for First Holdco PLC, formerly known as FBN Holdings, as it holds its 13th annual general meeting with management and shareholders in attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Bartels and his team.
For the team, it's not just about financial performance, it's also a strong statement of strategic evolution under the leadership of its chairman, Femi Otedola, who moderates the session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We have audited the consolidated and separate financial statements of First Holdco PLC.
As is typical of AGMs, several resolutions, including those related to reports, are passed.
The results will be projected on the screen.
But most significant to the shareholders is the resolution on the dividend payable.
I hereby declare that the resolution to declare dividend in the total sum of 25,126,704,925 naira, which translates to 60 kobo per 50 kobo ordinary share of the company, subject to withholding tax with dividend payable on Friday, May 23, 2025, to members whose names appear in the register of members at the close of business is hereby carried.
The amount represents a 50% increase from last year 2023 to 24, and the company looks forward to paying even more in the future.
By the end of this year, we would have completed our capital raise. Our chairman and major shareholder has also given us comfort that we will meet the 500 billion capital requirement for the bank in the next few weeks.
As far as the management is concerned, the figures reflect the performance of First Holdco PLC, indicating a promising outlook for shareholders.
Gross earnings at 3.2 was better than 2023 by 1.6 trillion. That's 105.7% increase year on year. In the same way, when you look at the PBT at 796, better than 356 of prior year, that's 123% increase.
Our First Mobile is one of the best in the market that people can transact our Elite app, and we have one of the best cybersecurity.
Shareholders seem to have embraced the need to build upon past successes and chart a new course for accelerated growth.
You know, anywhere we see Mr. Femi Otedola, investors are very happy to invest in such a company.
With the event concluded, shareholders will now look forward to the promises made, anticipating improved performance and increased profitability.
The federal government has recovered the sum of $200 million and another $10 million award it deposited as bond in a UK court towards its defense of the $11 billion arbitral award to Process and Industrial Development, P&ID. The Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, disclosed this during a visit by a team of lawyers who defended the country in the UK to the ministry. Mr. Fagbemi commended the efforts of the team in the legal victory and recovery of funds to the federal government, stating that the victory is a message to the world that Nigeria will no longer be an easy target for fraud and exploitation.
P&I case presented an unprecedented challenge, threatening to impose a colossal financial burden on the Nigerian people. It was a complex and onerous battle, demanding meticulous preparation, astute legal argumentation, and an unwavering commitment to uncovering the truth. Your team, Chester, rose stoutly to this occasion, demonstrating not only legal brilliance but also a deep understanding of the intricate nuances involved. Your ability to navigate the complexities of international arbitration, expose the fraudulent underpinnings of the initial award, and ultimately securing a favorable judgment is a testament to your outstanding expertise and unwavering resolve. This victory is not merely a legal triumph, it is a powerful message to the world that Nigeria will not be exploited and that justice will always prevail.
So let's head to the nation's capital now, where Millicent Walker is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Millicent.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Well, President Bola Tinubu has urged the new board of the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited to consolidate the gains of the ongoing economic reforms, which have attracted commendations for the resilience and competitiveness of the Nigerian economy. Speaking at the inauguration of the NNPCL board at the State House, the president said he selected the board members painstakingly to ensure quality leadership.
It took me a while to really come up with the level of character that you represent. You represent the best in the industry. And I've heard you set the goals yourself. You have the reputation, the resourcefulness, and the experience to help this country. It's a call to duty to all of you. I believe I have the best that industry can offer to the rest of the world. Today, I believe Nigeria has come of age. Nigeria is becoming more competitive. Nigeria has turned the corner. And with your team, a very highly respected group of people, I'm sure I can relax, I can watch the news now, I can read the news.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu. Still ahead on the news at 10, it's another appointment. Regional Maritime Development Bank finally takes off after 16 years delay. President Tinubu appoints Adeniro Aderogba as its first chief executive officer. That's on Business News. To join us again. You're watching the news News at 10 coming to you live from our studio here in Abuja. We head to Bayelsa State, where industry leaders, investors and policymakers gathered in the capital, Yenagoa, for the 2025 edition of the Nigerian Oil and Gas Opportunity Fair, a biannual platform hosted by the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board. The event, which focused on driving investment and production through indigenous capacity, continues to shape conversations around a sustainable future for Nigeria's oil and gas industry.
Please a round of applause for yourselves. The 2025 Nigerian Oil and Gas Opportunity Fair kicked off at the Nigerian Content Tower in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State, drawing major players from across the sector's value chain to explore strategic opportunities and partnerships.
We must do more than just theoretical brainstorming to build a sustainable industry. And we must also be able to stand on our feet, in fact, to run, to have in-country capacity and capabilities to domestically explore and produce our petroleum resources at internationally competitive costs.
In his keynote address, the Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Felix Ogbe, says that local content in Nigeria has evolved from mere aspirations to full-scale implementation.
In a bid to revitalize Nigerian oil and gas sector, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed 3 executive orders. These orders are designed to leverage the nation's resources and position Nigeria as a preferred investment destination for oil and gas sector in Africa.
Speaking also to the soaring heights of indigenous capacity in the sector, the Ministers of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas and Oil say the progress recorded in local content development is not only measurable, but scalable to meet global energy demands.
Since its inception, NOGOF has evolved into a strategic marketplace of opportunities and barometer of stakeholder intent and national ambition. This year's theme, driving investment and production growth, shaping a sustainable oil and gas industry through indigenous capacity development, could not be more timely.
The gains we have achieved so far, as a ministry in collaboration with NCDMB, are clearly measurable. Not just measurable, but more importantly, they're scalable. And with your partnership, we will definitely scale them.
Representing Governor Doyediri, Bayelsa State's Deputy Governors applauds the NCDMB's Back to Creek initiative and called for amendments to the Petroleum Industry Act to better reflect the roles of state governments in the oil-producing regions.
It would be good we come here and make some retrospects, because retrospect enables us to see where we have not done very well, and prospect allows us to think of where we need to go to. So, what was the theme for 2023? What are the achievements we recorded? And if we have not achieved enough of what we discussed 2023, why do you want to take a new course? To what extent is what we are doing liberating our youths and liberating the industry players?
Shortly after the opening session, participants took a tour of exhibition stands interacting with local and international exhibitors showcasing innovative technology and services. The fair continues with technical sessions designed to deepen industry knowledge and promote sustainable local participation.
Some company news now. It's strong financial results for one of Nigeria's oldest indigenous financial institutions, Wema Bank PLC, as it held its annual general meeting for the year 2024. Shareholders attended the meeting virtually to review the year's performance and approve key decisions.
It's the annual general meeting of Wema Bank PLC, and shareholders attend virtually to review the bank's performance for the financial year ended December the 31st, 2024.
I now declare the meeting open.
As part of the day's proceedings, the meeting considers the audited financial statements, along with the reports of the directors, auditors, and the statutory audit committee.
The directors are pleased to recommend a dividend of 1 naira per ordinary share of 50 kobo each, which will be subject to the deduction of withholding tax.
A 1 naira dividend per share is approved, and shareholders also vote on the election and re-election of directors. For the year under review, Wema Bank reports significant growth across major financial indicators. Gross earnings rose by 91.5% to 432.34 billion naira in 2024. Profit before tax grew by 135.16% to 102.51 billion naira, while profit after tax jumped 140.13% to 86.2 billion naira. Total assets rose by 60.04%. This performance is partly attributed to the bank's digital banking platform.
To sustain alert, we'll continue investing on best-in-class technologies. I call the platforms of engagement. Technologies I call the technologies of defense. 80 years ago, the founders of this bank made prayers to God, and as far as I'm concerned, like I tell everybody, those prayers are answered. And if you have all said that the banking is doing well, succession planning in Wema has worked, the only assurance I can give is that we will do our best. We are here now. We will also make sure that when the time comes, we will hand over to people that will do better than we can.
Focused on execution, excellence, and building a resilient financial franchise, the CEO assesses the bank's progress.
If you follow the trajectory of our numbers over the last 5 years, it is obvious to anyone looking, analyzing the numbers, that the numbers have gone in the right direction. Incrementally, year on year, you see improvement across all the various metrics. It is obvious to anyone that we're deliberate in what we're trying to do, making sure that we recruit the right people, making sure that we have best technology in place, making sure that we have the best processes. And the results you are seeing today is years of hard work of laying the foundations of this bank.
The annual general meeting of Wema Bank is coming on the heels of Wema Bank's recent 80th anniversary, a milestone that highlights the legacy of one of Nigeria's oldest surviving indigenous banks.
And that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to Ayotunde in Lagos.
Many thanks, Millicent. The federal government has filed a 3-count criminal charge against the suspended senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, over statements she made on a national television alleging a plot to assassinate her. One of the charges is linked to the allegations Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan made during the live broadcast where she accused the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello of plotting to assassinate her. In the charge sheet cited by newsmen in Abuja, the federal government, the complainant in the case, filed before the High Court of the FCT in Abuja, sued Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan as the sole defendant.
In the charge sheet, a copy of which was cited by Channels Television, the federal government accused Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan of making imputation, knowing or having reason to believe that such imputation will harm the reputation of a person, an offense contrary to Section 391 of the Penal Code, Cap 89 Laws of the Federation 1990. The offense is punishable under Section 392 of the same law. The federal government further alleged that Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan, on or about the 3rd day of April 2025, during the Politics Today program on Channels Television in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, made the imputation against the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and the former Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. The list of witnesses show that both men will testify during the trial. Also to testify are 2 investigative police officers, ACP Maya Iliya and SP Abdulafiz Gaba, who will tell the court what role they played in the investigation of the case. Another Dr. Sandra Duru is also listed as one of the witnesses. In the live TV interview, Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan had also accused the Senate President and the former Kogi State Governor of plotting to assassinate her. She was quoted as saying, "Let's ask the Senate President why in the first place did he withdraw my security details, if not to make me vulnerable to attacks." He then emphasized that I should be killed, but I should be killed in Kogi. She had concluded by saying, "What is important to me is to stay alive, because dead men tell no tales." Both men had, however, denied the allegations. In another count, Senator Akpoti Uduaghan, on or about the 27th day of March 2025, during a two-way telephone conversation with one Sandra Duru in Abuja, made an imputation concerning Senator Godswill Akpabio by claiming that the girl Imoren Inubong, who was killed some years ago, had her organs used for the wife of the Senate president who was really ill. The court is yet to fix a date for the arraignment of Senator Akpoti Uduaghan on these charges. Shola Shrieli, Channels Television News.
Business News is up next with Dominic Iwiro.
Thank you, Ayotunde. And on business news, after 16 years of delay in its establishment, the Regional Maritime Development Bank has finally taken off, with Nigeria as the host country for its commencement. According to a statement from the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Mr. Adigboyega Oyetola, the historic takeoff follows the approval by President Bola Tinubu of a project that has been in the works since 2009, when member states of the Maritime Organization of West and Central Africa first approved the establishment of the bank. At the same time, President Tinubu has also appointed a maritime administration expert, Adeniro Adirogba, as its pioneer president and chief executive officer. The takeoff of the RMDB marks a significant milestone for Nigeria and the sub-Saharan region, which is considered as a vital tool to facilitate maritime development and providing easier access to financing for related projects. The Nigeria Customs Service, Apapa Area Command, has achieved a revenue collection of over 1 trillion naira in the first 5 months of 2025, surpassing its targets for the year. The controller of the command, Babatunde Olomo, explains that this milestone was reached before the media report indicating a potential to exceed its previous record of 2.3 trillion naira collected in 2024. Mr. Olomo highlights that the command has consistently waxed strong in revenue generation, including a record-breaking daily collection of 18.9 billion naira in March and 18.91 billion naira on the 20th of May. Africa's biggest crude refiner, Dangote Refinery, says its partners have reduced the pump price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, yet again across the country. According to the refinery, the partners include MRS, AP, Hayden, Optima, Techno Oil, and Hyde filling stations. The crude refiner says its partners will reduce the price of petrol to 875 naira per litre in Lagos and 885 naira per litre in other states in the southwest region. For the northeast, southeast, and south-south, Dangote Refinery says petrol price will be reduced to 905 naira per litre, while in the northwest and north central, the refiner says price is to cut to 895 naira per litre. Lagos State has emerged as the world's fastest growing tech city in the world for this year, coming ahead of Turkey's Istanbul and India's Pune. According to the latest Global Tech Ecosystem Index 2025 report by Netherlands-based research firm Delroom.co, Lagos is cited as home to 5 unicorns: Opay, Moneypoint, Flutterwave, Interswitch, and Jumia, which stand out as an appealing hub for new enterprises. On its part, the state government highlighted the subnational's large population and business-friendly environment as factors driving the tech ecosystem. More than 274 billion naira was knocked off from the total value of equities on the stock market as investors extend profit-taking for a second consecutive day. Willie Bong tells us more.
To the stock market report. The equities market is bouncing off Wednesday's negative close. We see the all-share index dropping further today by 0.4%, and this is driven by profit-taking activities. Now, key indexes were all in the red. All sectors were down, and not one spared. Another major driver of today's bearish sentiment is the banking index. We see it down more than 1% today, and this is on the back of sell-off in Fidelity Bank. GTCO was also down today. In fact, fact, all the tier 1 names closed in the red except for First Old Co. You know, they're having an AGM. They had their AGM today and they gave out some fantastic numbers. Now, Mansard and Dangote Sugar are responsible for the negative performance we're seeing in the insurance and consumer goods counters. Now, on the gainers chart, we have Union Homes, Real Estate, Red Star Express, and RT Briscoe on the top 3 list. And what's the market without losers? You see Chelarams there. Final trading day tomorrow, Friday. Let's see if the NGX can snap up losses. And that's the stock market report. Will Ibong signing out.
It's mostly negative close for major global stock markets today, following investors' concern over rising rates and increasing deficits in the United States. Let's take a look at the numbers. And that's it on Business News. Back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Dominic. Well, let's head to our London studios now, where Simon Pusey is standing by for international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. More than 90 lorry loads of humanitarian aid have been collected by UN teams inside the Gaza Strip 3 days after Israel eased an 11-week-long blockade. The aid, which included flour, baby food and medical equipment, was picked up from the Kerem Shalom crossing and taken to warehouses for distribution. Humanitarian organizations have warned of acute levels of hunger among the 2.1 million population amid significant shortages of basic foods and skyrocketing prices.
Israeli authorities had only allowed our teams to go through one area where that was highly congested, that we felt was insecure, and where we felt looting was highly likely to take place given the prolonged deprivation of in Gaza since the blockade.
A young couple have been shot dead as they were leaving a Jewish event in Washington, D.C. Yaron Leshinki and Sarah Lynn Milgram were described as being in the prime of their lives by the Israeli embassy, where they both worked. The alleged shooter, Elias Rodriguez, was filmed shouting "Free Palestine" while being detained. He is now in custody. Israel's foreign minister said the attack was a direct result of toxic anti-Semitic incitement since the 7th of October 2023 attack that prompted Israel's military campaign in Gaza.
Prior to the shooting, the suspect was observed pacing back and forth outside of the museum. He approached a group of 4 people, produced a handgun, and opened fire, striking both of our decedents. After the shooting, the suspect then entered the museum and was detained by event security.
Police say there are multiple fatalities after a small plane crashed into a residential area of San Diego. A Cessna 550 aircraft, a small model which can carry 6 to 8 people, crashed into the Murphy Canyon neighborhood. It occurred at around 3:45 a.m. local time amid foggy weather conditions, and local emergency services attended the scene. 15 homes were set on fire as a result of the incident, and several blocks have been told to evacuate. A federal judge has said the deportation of 8 men to South Sudan unquestionably violated his order that migrants must be allowed to challenge their removal to third countries. Judge Brian Murphy's finding was the latest turn in a fast-evolving dispute. 1 day earlier, he ordered U.S. authorities to keep custody of the men over concerns that the U.S. had violated his injunction against sending migrants to countries other than their own. A natural disaster has been declared in New South Wales in Australia as widespread flooding has prompted nearly 50,000 people to evacuate. Footage captured in the mid-north coast shows cattle displaced on beaches and trapped residents being airlifted from their homes to safety. One man has died and 3 are missing, with authorities expressing grave fears as heavy rain continues in the region on Thursday. In spite of protests, Sir Keir Starmer has signed a deal handing the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. Under the terms of the deal, Mauritius would gain sovereignty of the islands from the UK, but allow the US and the UK to continue operating a strategically important military base on one of the islands for an initial period of 99 years in exchange for a multi-billion-pound payment. And this is the moment that hundreds of tiles fell from the roof of a centuries-old tower in China's Anhui province, smashing to the ground, forcing tourists to run. Eyewitness footage showed sections of the roof collapsing, narrowly missing a number of people. Local media cited a Fenyang County Culture and Tourism Bureau statement that said no one was injured during the incident. The drum tower, reportedly the largest in China, was built in 1375 during the Ming dynasty, but had undergone an extensive rebuild in 1995.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, has unveiled the new CAF Champions League trophy, marking a bold new chapter in the legacy of Africa's premier club competition. The unveiling took place in Johannesburg. It was attended by some of African football legends and several African football leaders. Now, one of the 2 finalists, Mamelodi Sundowns and Pyramids, will make history when they lift the new trophy. Real Madrid's Croatian midfielder Luka Modric will leave the Spanish Giants after the Club World Cup this summer. The Croatian has played nearly 600 games for Madrid since joining from Tottenham in 2012, winning the Champions League 6 times, the Copa del Rey twice, and 4 La Liga titles among 28 trophies in total. From football to tennis, where Carlos Alcaraz will begin his French Open title defense against Japan's Kei Nishikori, as Iga Swiatek faces a difficult route to a 4th successive Roland-Garros title after a year-long trophy drought. Novak Djokovic, who had not won a clear-cut match this season before this week, starts his latest quest for a record-setting 25th major against American Mackenzie McDonald. And Africa's last man standing at the ITTF World Championship, Quadri Aruno, has bowed out of the ongoing tournament in Doha, Qatar, after a tough 4th-round defeat. The highest-ranked table tennis player in Africa succumbed to Brazil's Hugo Calderano in a one-sided men's singles clash at the Lusail Arena. And that's sports. I'm Kelly. It's back to Ayotunde.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. It was a grand reunion for APC leaders and members today as the party held its national summit in Abuja, an event which culminated into 3 levels of endorsements for President Bola Tinubu by the Progressive Governors Forum, the National Assembly leadership, and the National Working Committee as sole presidential candidate for the year 2027. And that's the news at 10. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balu. You have a good one.